President Trump revealing top secret information about a new nuclear weapons system. This yet another jaw-dropping moment from the president's interviews with Bob Woodward. Let's listen.
But I have built a weapon system that nobody's ever had in this country before. We have stuff that you haven't even seen or heard about. We have stuff that Putin and Xi have never heard about before. There's nobody. What we have is incredible.
Putin and Xi have now heard about it, and we now know that the president disclosed that secret information during his very first interview with Woodward. I'm joined now by CNN contributor Miles Taylor, who served as chief of staff for the Department of Homeland Security during the Trump administration, I should say. Miles, what is your reaction to this disclosure?
Well, thanks, Brianna. I mean, look, I would say this. After having served 2.5 years in this administration, I thought I'd seen it all and heard it all. But here we are with the president, again, shocking even those of us who've heard him say some of the most shocking things that were probably ever said in the Oval Office of the White House. I think the concern here is very clear. The president of the United States has one primary obligation, and that's to protect the American people. And part of that is to protect our national security secrets. Now, people joked when Donald Trump came in that, can we trust this guy with the nuclear codes? Well, here's Donald Trump basically proving to us in real time that he can't be trusted with the nation's secrets. This is the type of information that if someone like me with a security clearance came out and validated, we'd go to prison. This would be prosecutable. This would be criminal release of classified information. Now, I won't confirm or deny whether what Donald Trump said was true, but once again, if someone below the president had made these types of disclosures, it would be criminal in nature. What's worrisome here is that by talking about sensitive programs, even if the president isn't giving the specific details, he is giving our adversaries a roadmap to go try to find more about those programs. Right now, I'm sure the Chinese and the Russians are telling their operatives in the United States, go find out more about this, and about a program that, if it exists, they otherwise wouldn't have known about. This is damning, and it is damaging to our national security.
And former Defense Secretary James Mattis says Trump is dangerous, unfit, and has no moral compass. Fauci says that Trump's attention span is a minus number. I know you have your own firsthand experience working with the president. What have you seen?
Well, look, I actually think those comments were generous. And I'll tell you, without citing any of those individuals by name, those are some of the tamer comments that people at the senior levels of the administration actually made about the president. The concerns were severe. Again, I think Dr. Fauci's comment about the president having a minus number attention span is also generous. The president could not focus day to day on his actual job. You would go into meetings with the president on sobering, weighty issues, and he would become completely distracted by something else. I've noted before, there was a time we were in there to talk about school shootings, and he was getting ready to meet with the parents of children who died in their classrooms from school shooters. The president couldn't stay focused. He didn't want to talk about the meeting. In fact, he wanted to talk about how beautiful the wall should be and told us at the time, I want the wall to be a work of art, make the border wall into a beautiful work of art. This is as parents and children are waiting in the next room to talk about lost loved ones. This is a president who, again, can't focus on the core duties of his job. And I would say this sentiment that you heard expressed in those quotes by Jim Mattis, who's a true patriot, and by Dr. Fauci, were widely shared and are still shared by a number of people that are in the administration. I would urge some of them to continue doing their jobs and to try to put bad ideas back in the box when they emerge from the Oval Office. But for others who found that they can no longer do that, it's time for them to speak up and speak out.
I want to also just get your reaction to allegations from a whistleblower at DHS where you were chief of staff, basically saying the top political appointees were instructed by career officials, Chad Wolf and Ken Cuccinelli, to alter intelligence reports to match what the president was saying publicly. What is your reaction to this news?
Yeah, I would say that we need to withhold judgment, at least initially, and treat this one with kid gloves. This is a whistleblower who reportedly was removed from his job for compiling dossiers of reporters, something that should not happen in an intelligence office. So while those things are being sorted out, again, I think we need to deal with those allegations with kid gloves. That said, the allegations themselves are worrying. And one piece of the complaint that was released yesterday I ended up being able to validate. And that is, the individual in question, this whistleblower, said that they were told to adjust assessments about Russian interference, and specifically that the president had even threatened to fire a top DHS intelligence official for telling the truth about Russian interference. That's actually true, Brianna. I was on the phone that night with the White House when individuals were saying the president wants the top DHS intelligence leader fired because that person testified on Capitol Hill that Russia did intervene in 2016 and that they had expressed a preference for Trump to win the election. That is information that the intelligence community has publicly validated and said is true. But the president wanted us to fire that person for making those statements. If that doesn't have a chilling effect on the intelligence community, I don't know what does.
Miles, you're named in the whistleblower complaint specifically, the whistleblower alleging that you were part of a pressure campaign to provide intel assessments on known or suspected terrorists that he felt did not line up with the facts. So I hear you be saying maybe wait a beat on what he's saying, but what do you say to this allegation?
Yeah, no, very important. I believe in the allegation. The whistleblower says that the Secretary of Homeland Security inflated the number of terrorists crossing the border to try to make it seem like there was a bigger threat. The real story here is actually the Secretary never made such a public statement. No reporter's been able to find that statement. The real story is we were worried that the White House was misstating the number of terrorists crossing the southern border and had inaccurately used data that we'd given them. So the Secretary ordered that we immediately release a fact sheet to make clear very few terrorists cross the southern border, and in reality, the vast majority come into the United States by air. We were concerned about the White House politicizing that information, and I'm grateful that the Secretary urged that a fact sheet be issued right away to clarify that that was not the case.
Yeah, we know White House officials were overstating, misstating. Miles, thank you so much. Miles